The United States government just dropped a bombshell. ASML's most advanced chip-making machine might already be in China, completely illegally. We are talking about their extreme ultraviolet lithography system, the EUV machine. It's basically the most sophisticated piece of manufacturing equipment on the planet. Without it, you can't make cutting-edge semiconductor chips. And here's what makes this absolutely explosive. ASML says they have no idea how it could have gotten there. They're denying it entirely. So you've got the United States intelligence community on one side and the Dutch company that literally controls global chip manufacturing on the other, saying the exact opposite. One of them is lying, and that matters massively because if China really does have this machine, everything changes about who can manufacture the world's most advanced AI chips. We are talking about technology that costs around $380 million per unit, more than a Boeing 747. And here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just about theft or money. It's a geopolitical earthquake, because controlling chip manufacturing means controlling the future of artificial intelligence. Right now, that power is locked in Western hands, but if China has ASML's EUV, that advantage just vanished. The United States has spent decades trying to keep this away from China, and now they are saying it might be too late. To understand why this matters, you need to know what ASML actually does. Think of them as the gatekeeper of modern chip manufacturing. They're a Dutch company that makes the machines that make microchips. Specifically, they make EUV machines, and there's essentially no alternative on the market. If you want to manufacture the absolute cutting-edge semiconductor chips that power AI systems, gaming GPUs, or the latest smartphone processors, you need ASML's technology. No other company on Earth can do what they do. ASML's EUV lithography machines are so advanced, so specialized, that even mentioning them requires government approval in many countries. The Dutch government, with pressure from the United States, has strict export controls on these machines. You can't just buy one and ship it to Beijing. The process involves lawyers, government permits, and detailed inspections. Each machine takes months to build and years to develop. It's not like buying industrial equipment, it's more like selling a nuclear reactor. It took ASML decades to build the expertise to create this technology. They didn't invent EUV overnight. It's generations of optical engineering, physics breakthroughs, and billions of dollars in research. And the fact that only one company can make these machines gives them, and by extension, the Western nations that control them, enormous leverage over the global semiconductor supply chain. That's why the allegation is so serious. Let's talk about what EUV actually is, because the name sounds intimidating, but the concept is fascinating. EUV stands for extreme ultraviolet. Traditional chip-making uses visible light to etch patterns onto silicon. Imagine a photographic camera, but instead of capturing an image, you're writing billions of tiny transistors. Light waves have a size limit. You can only use light to draw patterns that are roughly as small as the light's wavelength. Visible light has a wavelength of around 400 to 700 nanometers, but modern chips need transistors that are just a few nanometers across. So ASML's breakthrough was moving to extreme ultraviolet light, which has a wavelength of just 13 nanometers. That lets you etch patterns that are dramatically smaller, which means more transistors fit on the same piece of silicon. More transistors means more computing power in the same space. And in the AI world, more compute equals better models. Think of it like this. If traditional chips are written with a thick marker, EUV chips are written with a laser-sharp pen, you can fit 10 times more instructions on the same page. ASML's EUV machines are so complex they require 12,000 different parts, assembled by master technicians over months. The mirrors inside are polished to tolerances measured in atoms. One speck of dust ruins everything. That's why only ASML can build them. That precision, that's what everyone wants. So here's the real-world impact. Without EUV machines, you're stuck making older generation chips. And in the AI race, older chips are basically obsolete. Right now, NVIDIA's GPU chips that power artificial intelligence systems around the world, the ones training models like ChatGPT or Claude, those depend on ASML EUV technology. China wants exactly that. They want to build their own advanced chips, instead of relying on imports from the West. In 2022, The United States placed an embargo on chip technology exports to China, essentially cutting them off from buying these machines legally. That embargo was supposed to slow China's AI development by years. But if China somehow got an ASML EUV machine anyway, through smuggling, acquisition, or industrial espionage, they could skip years of development. They could start manufacturing cutting-edge chips within months, and that would instantly level the playing field in artificial intelligence development. Imagine China developing GPU equivalents that rival NVIDIA's, but without United States companies profiting from it. That's the nightmare scenario. It's not just about business competition. It's about military capability. Advanced chips power radar systems, missile guidance, surveillance satellites. If China has access to the same chip-making technology as the United States, the military balance changes dramatically. That's why the United States government treats this like a potential intelligence breach of massive proportions. Now here's where the story gets complicated. How exactly would China even get an ASML machine? These aren't small devices you can hide in a shipping container. An EUV system is the size of a tour bus, literally. It weighs 180 tons and requires a dedicated clean room to operate. You can't sneak it across the border. So either China obtained one through completely legal channels somehow, maybe before export controls tightened, or through a loophole nobody knew about, or it came through black market acquisition, shell companies, or industrial espionage. ASML has said they've accounted for every single machine they've ever built. They keep meticulous records. Every unit has a serial number. They know who bought what and when. If one of their machines is in China, ASML's management is either lying or someone moved it after purchase in a way that hid its origin. The United States has been extremely aggressive about controlling semiconductor technology. They've used every tool available: export licensing, sanctions, pressure on allied nations. Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan are all aligned with the United States on this, but China has a history of obtaining sensitive technology through persistence and creativity. They've done it before with other military and tech secrets. So is it plausible they got an ASML machine? Yes. Is it possible ASML genuinely doesn't know? Also yes. But here's what's undeniable. The stakes couldn't possibly be higher. Let's think through what happens if the United States accusation is actually true. If China really does have an ASML EUV machine and is using it to manufacture chips, the strategic landscape changes immediately. First, China's AI development accelerates exponentially. They stop relying on imported chips and start manufacturing their own. Within a year, they could be building chips as advanced as anything NVIDIA or Intel makes. Second, the United States semiconductor advantage evaporates. American companies have spent decades building a monopoly on high-end chip manufacturing through TSMC in Taiwan, through Samsung, through their own facilities. If China breaks that monopoly by building their own advanced chips, the entire equation changes. Third, and this is the scary part, military capability becomes unpredictable. Whoever controls advanced chip manufacturing controls the future of artificial intelligence, autonomous weapons, surveillance systems. If China matches Western chip manufacturing, they're matching Western military technology development. Fourth, it calls into question every export control the United States has imposed. If ASML machines can be obtained illegally despite Dutch and American safeguards, what else can be smuggled? Fifth, it puts diplomatic pressure on ASML and the Netherlands. They are caught between United States security demands and commercial interests. A confirmed breach forces even stricter controls, which slows their business globally. Finally, and this is what makes this so explosive right now, neither side has fully revealed their evidence. The United States hasn't shown proof. ASML hasn't shown records. We are watching a high-stakes game with the world's technological future as the prize. Here's how the Western world actually tries to prevent this kind of technology leak. First, there's export licensing. The Dutch government and the European Union require official approval before selling advanced manufacturing equipment to certain countries. ASML has to get permission before shipping. Second, there's physical inspection. Before an EUV machine ships, Dutch authorities inspect it. They verify the destination. They confirm the end user is legitimate and not a front company. Third, there's ongoing monitoring. After sale, governments try to track where equipment goes. Serial numbers are registered. There are legal clauses requiring the buyer to get permission before reselling or moving the machine. Fourth, there's intelligence gathering. The United States, Netherlands, and allies run spy networks specifically to detect when sensitive technology ends up in restricted places. This is where an alleged ASML machine in China would have been caught if it exists. Fifth, there's denial of critical components. Even if China obtained an ASML machine, it requires maintenance, replacement parts, software updates. These are also restricted. In theory, this creates a choke point, but China has proven resourceful at circumventing these restrictions. They reverse engineer, they develop domestic alternatives, they find workarounds. The question now is whether these safeguards failed, or whether someone inside ASML deliberately helped China obtain a machine. Here's what you need to watch for over the coming weeks and months. The United States government will likely release more evidence about this claim. ASML will either confirm or deny with more detail. The Dutch government might launch an investigation, and somewhere in the background, intelligence agencies are probably working overtime to figure out the truth. If the United States is right, this is a massive breach with consequences lasting years. If ASML is right and the machine isn't in China, it could be misinformation. Maybe the United States found evidence of smuggling attempts that failed or confused Chinese research facilities for ASML operations. The real story, though, isn't just about one machine. It's about the vulnerability of the global supply chain for the technology that powers AI development. Right now, the West controls chip manufacturing through legal agreements, commercial dominance, and export controls, but that advantage isn't permanent. Eventually, other countries will develop equivalent technology. China has enormous resources and ambition. This situation forces the world to reckon with an uncomfortable truth. You can slow down competition, but you can't stop it forever. Whoever manufactures the best chips manufactures the best AI systems, and whoever manufactures the best AI systems controls enormous power. Watch this space. The next few months will be telling. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the updates as this develops. Follow for daily AI news.